Hey guys, Oblivion234 here, again with another Urban Rivals video. Today we got some new releases, and so I'm gonna take a look at them. So, we've actually gotten past where Dominion gets 4 new per thing, so now they've only got 2. They've got Artax and Sir Geralt. So, let's start with Artax first. He is a 6/2, Poison 2, Min 2, Growth -1 opponent power, Min 4. So, Artax is just good in general. There are much worse poisons on a lot worse yeah. He's good, is what I'm saying. He's a threat early. He's just a good early threat. He can potentially do up to 8 damage if you get him through turn 1. But he's still scary on turn 2. Or even turn 3, he's okay. So, overall, his downside isn't too terrible, but the fact that you have to play him later, he does less damage. But he's just a good early threat for this deck. Because you can run stuff like Valhalla, Dukor for your late game. Actually, yeah. And Lord Un, those 3 are the ones that don't actually get worse as time goes on. They just get strictly better. But otherwise, we've got Sir Geralt, who is a 7/5, +1 attack per pills left. So this guy's decent. You could compare him to Axe Battler, but he's got higher base power, which is just makes him inherently more powerful, as seen by the fact that Axe Battler is only 550k. But he is new, so the prices are a bit inflated since they came out literally today. But he doesn't inherently get worse as time goes on, because you can still have just as many pills for the most part. He doesn't guaranteedly get smaller. So ultimately, he's a decent 4-star. I'd say he's better than most of the 4-stars they've got, other than, of course, Dukor. But I'd say he's better than Orca, definitely. That extra power really helps. He's one of the, 7 powers, which typically have less damage. But yeah, overall, he's decent. He's nothing to write home about, of course. Neither of them are. They're just decent cards. They're not bad. Neither of them are bad, which is good. Goonbones is just bad. Axe Battler's just pretty bad. But, yep, moving on. We've got... I want to talk about this one first, actually. Lagertha. She's the rare from this cycle, or from this new ones. And she's a 5/6 with... They've got the pronouns wrong, I'd assume. But, you never assume, I guess. But it says he in the bio, but that is definitely not a guy, design-wise. But... trans is the thing. But, so it's a 5/6 with power exchange, stop opponent bonus, of course. So, I'd like to, it's an interesting card where, typically, you can say, just drop your opponent's power down, because the average power for a card's about 6. So, theoretically, you're going to have a 1-up on them. But this gets screwed by so many things. Any of your opponents that have an ability that, raises their own power, typically are going to have lower power. So sometimes, this is just going to end up giving you lower power. Sure, stop opponent bonus really helps this being a power exchange card, where if this was not in Piranhas, I would say this would be... Actually, no. I'd like to see this ability in Bangers or All-Star. I think it'd be much better in either of those 2 clans. Any of the attack or any of the power manipulation clans, I really think that this would be a much better ability. Stop opponent bonus is okay, because they stop said clans from having power manipulation. But, ultimately you want this to go up against like a 9 whatever, or, an 8 whatever, so you have that 3 or 4 power gap. But ultimately, if you play this first, your opponent can choose what to put into it, so they know what power is going to get exchanged. And power exchange is inherently... Well, the exchange cards... Well, I shouldn't say this. I should say power exchange is inherently worse than damage exchange, because with damage exchange... most of the time you're doing that defensively rather than aggressively. This is meant to be an aggressive card. It's a 5/6. Well, it's an whatever 6, whatever your opponent is, and that's part of the problem. And if they just have stop opponent ability on their as their ability, this is pretty bad. You've got a 4-star 5/6. But yeah, it's ultimately it's too dependent on what your opponent has as their power, which you never want. You really don't want your cards to be good depending on what your opponent's playing, because you can't always assume that you'll get, you know, good matchups for the card. And so really it's just like it could be so much better on a different clan is really what it is, because ultimately you have no good way of making sure you get a good exchange. Like, say you go up against a Salius, this should just make Salius better. Like, there are and yeah, that's also a thing. There are some cases where this literally makes your opponent's character have more power. It's very rare, but this that can happen. It can seriously make it so your opponent has more power if you go up against them. So ultimately, I'd say this ability is too. It's not good enough on its own to be a good card. If it was in a different clan, I'd say I'd maybe have a different opinion. If this was an all stars, for instance, if this was a 5/6 4-star in all stars, I would say this would be an amazing card. Or like a 5/6 in bangers. But yeah, ultimately it's just, yeah, not good enough. I don't think it's good enough to see play. That's just long and short of it. Finally, now this is by far the most powerful card out of all the new ones. Incubus. 4-star, 7/1, damage exchange, stop opponent bonus. So this is ultimately the best damage reducer in the game. Your opponent gets 1 damage, no matter what their damage is. It could be a 9/6, and it would have 1 damage. And they can't get any damage boost from their bonus, so nothing for Fang Pai, or it's just Fang Pai, right? Oh, or Legenta. They don't get their bonus as long as you have your bonus. And yeah. So it's going to be ultimately a 7 whatever. I mean, it's probably not going to be a 7/1. It's going to be at least a 7/2. I mean, that's not great, but you're using this as a damage reducer. And it is ultimately one of the best damage reducers in the game. Like, this could be like up to minus like 7 opponent damage. If they've got 8 damage, you know, it's still amazing. You know, you could argue that, say, oh, what if their ability gives them damage, like Kolos? It's still, there's, ack, that was loud. They're still doing, you know, 7 damage because Kolos gets +6 damage. But the point is that even on a normal damage reducer card, the same thing would be true. Like, if you have a -3 opponent damage and they have +5 damage, you know, they're still getting that +5 damage even if you're reducing it by 3. So it's the same type of thing here where, you know, it's just as good as a damage reducer. If not, it's actually just better than a damage reducer, because this could be up to like a 7/8. Because, yeah. In addition to that, oh, what was I going to say? I had a point, but then I lost it. It's just good. It's just good. It's minus infinity opponent damage -1. It's literally what it is. So, yep. I think this is definitely going to go in any sort of deck where you need a defensive 4-star for Nightmare. I think this really actually makes Nightmare a more viable clan in higher elo, because you can use it wherever. You can use it up to, I'm assuming, the Politic Tower or whatever, Z Palace, whatever. So, yeah, I'd say this is just amazing card. Probably should be a rare. If this was like an 8-1, I'd say it should be a rare 5-star. But as it is, I'd still think this should maybe be a rare. It's really good. Like, yeah, you've got a 7. It's good. It's just really good. But that's about it for all the New Bloods this week. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. If you really loved it, subscribe. Oblivion 234 out.